So that's maybe the next thing to talk about. What is information? And when you listen and read all these websites now about quantum medicine, they use all words, but if you ask them what is quantum medicine, there's nothing there. They cannot explain anything. They just say it's different. It's a new thing. It's unconventional. It cures everything. And in our backyard we have super scientists. They know how this is being done, but it's actually it cannot be put into words that you would understand. So it's like this, but they don't understand. So what they understand is to make always new words and new ideas. Like they coin new terms for this, and they call it quantic medicine, quantum space. They call it subspace. They call it Xray. They call it metaspace. They call it tachyon energy. They call it vacuum space. They call it intrinsic data field. They call it the matrix. There's 1,000 words for something that has been always known, but more in a more spiritual context. How did older traditions, how did they call it? The same thing. It's not new, it's new. It has been always around. We always used it, not always with computers, but in other ways. But what did other cultures call it?
Is it not consciousness?
Well, consciousness actually is something, the way I define it is something different, but maybe some people call it the consciousness field. I talk about the difference, because I'm making a difference between the information and the spirit. So for me, consciousness is the spirit, but it depends on how to define it. But what did other cultures call it? That's very obviously not consciousness, not spirit. What did they call it? The Indians, for example. They call it the akashic record. Akashic record is this field or this storage, this memory that keeps the knowledge of all past and future. And that's what is our hard drive. Or in a larger context, what is our akashic records now that is man-made today? You will all know it. I mean, you will all agree. What is the akashic record that is today man-made, that is already gigantic, beyond imagination?
The internet?
Huh?
The internet?
The internet, right. And all those information that's on the internet, it's an akashic record made by humans. Yes? And this keeps all past, and in a way, the more it's developing, we can also more and more see that it already contains the future of information. Yes? So, but this is something the Indians knew thousands of years ago. And there are still places in India, and I lived in India for 5 years, imagine, from 1990 to 1995. I was living and practicing homeopathy in India. That's where I really got my training of a lot of ideas in this field, and also very practical understanding and connection to the Asian nature. So there's the palm leaf libraries, so you go there and the priest takes out the palm leaf and opens it and reads your past and your future from this palm leaf. And it's the tradition of reading the akashic records. But let's go not in this field. What did other cultures call this? For example, in the Western tradition, of course, who founded the Western tradition, really the philosophy, the ways of thinking, was Aristotle. And he said, before everything and above everything, and everything is ruled by one thing, and that's what he called the world of ideas. So that's also the same concept. Yes. Then some esoteric people, they call it the astral field. The astral field. That's what you connect to at night, especially when you dream, when you do the astral travel. Yes, you move through the space of information. And then there is, of course, maybe 20 years ago, Rupert Sheldrake, who all of you know, he called it the morphogenetic field. The morphogenetic, that's what creates form. And this is in the word information. It's informing. So, of course, medicine today wants to reduce it to some physical things, like anything. They want to explain everything with physical things or with energy. So it's not, energy medicine is not really unique to holistic or advanced medical practitioners. Energy medicine has been around since 100 years in form of course, Xray. And now all the other forms of starting with the thermometer is an energetic device, an energetic diagnostic device. But then it goes on to ultra sound, to ultra whatever, to the MRI, to the EEG, to the ECG. And so there's a very great number of energy medical devices for diagnostic. But interestingly, there's not so many devices for energetic treatment. Yeah? You know why? A very simple idea. Again, you will all agree again. But why is there not? There's all these devices that I told you about energetic diagnostic. But why is there not so many energetic therapy devices?
Drugs.
Huh?
Wipe away the drugs.
Yeah, wipe away the drugs. It's not so good. It's not so great business idea to create one device which can treat 100,000 people who have not to take every day the same dose of drugs in. I mean, this is corrupting yourself. And simply that's the reason why there's not so many energetic therapeutic devices, but a lot of diagnostic devices, because they find you need this drug to be used from now on, daily, if you want to survive, you want to have any chance to get better. Yeah? So, energy medicine is there a lot, but on the diagnostic part. Informational medicine is not there, almost not there, neither informational nor in a diagnostic way, therapeutic way. So, now, we said it was called in the past the astral field, the akashic records, the morphogenetic field, the world of ideas. But now they call it the vacuum field, the zero energy field, the tachyon field, subspace, or metaspace, hyperspace, matrix. Yes? See, this movie, The Matrix, is about what? It's such a success, but what? I have not even seen it because it's too violent for me. But I got the message. What's the idea behind this? The Matrix movie. Anyone seen it? No? You're very healthy, good. In America, everybody has seen it, so that's why they're so sick. So, what's the idea?
It's about four forms: the illusions, the minds we create our reality.
No, they are not about illusions. They are saying a big super computer is programming everything, except a few people. They still don't have the receiver in their head, or they are still not in the matrix, run by the matrix. Yeah. So, and this is actually they say it's stupid. Of course, nobody is run by the matrix. But in fact, all America, especially all U.S. America, is run by the matrix. If something comes up on the TV, everybody is frightened. If somebody else says something else and everybody agrees, everybody's happy. So it's the matrix and the media. So more or less this is true for the whole world. But this is true also without the media. We are programmed by something that's a true force, that's an informational force. That's why you are, who live in Thailand, you all have a certain common program, certain common values, certain ways of doing things, certain ways of reacting or not reacting. And why? Not because you have learned everything from your parents, because you live in this field of information of the Thai people. Just like in any other field, the Germans, they act differently. Yeah? Not because they have learned it or because they have chosen it, because they have decided to be this way. No, because there is a force, and this is the informational force. And we have not become aware of this for the whole of medicine. Imagine,